The podcast you are listening to of Holmberg's Morning Sickness is brought to you by my friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Trust me on this one. You've had barbecue before, but you haven't had it this good. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale, ericsfamilybbq.com.
When was the last time you had really good Texas-style barbecue? Eric's Family Barbecue, the way it's supposed to taste. Always delicious, never rushed, and prepared to perfection. Eric's Family Barbecue uses only 100% fresh meat, slowly smoked over mesquite wood until it's juicy and delicious. We all know their brisket is the best, but have you tried their pulled pork ribs, or rib tips? Amazing, and their sides are all house-made. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Make the trip. You won't be sorry. Go to ericsfamilybbq.com for more information.
Holmberg's Morning Sickness.
I am a little depressed that we get the week off and we're going to miss Bryan Callen, which that upsets me greatly.
Unbelievable.
And Bryan is on the. I mean, Bryan was evidently upset by this because he's like he has to talk to us beforehand. So Bryan's on the line. Bryan, are you there?
John, I'm here.
Mr.
John, I'm here in beautiful Wisconsin right now.
You're up in Wisconsin. Ooh. What a great time to visit Wisconsin.
That's right, John.
What's going on in Wisconsin?
I wanted to see what Wisconsin was like in the winter. I'm here on a vacation. You know what I mean?
Smart.
I'm walking around Appleton, Wisconsin. There's a butterfly park apparently, and they're all sleeping now because it's the winter. And then there's it's Appleton. Yeah. And I guess that means it's an apple town.
Yes.
So I got that going for me. So if I want apples, and
there's a truck driving school.
There's nothing.
There's nothing to do there. You have absolutely nothing to do.
I got. Well, at least Milwaukee's 130 miles east.
Yes.
So I got that going.
So you get a wild hair. Yeah. You can drop 130 miles on the rental car and go to Milwaukee and have some fun. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Visit the Schatz Brewery. Yeah. Maybe walk up and down the Laverne Trail.
Been to that Apple Town. You're not going to get some sleep tonight,
That's
man.
a good spot. Bryan is here. He's at Stand Up Live next week. We've already told you about that. We're giving tickets away a little later too. But Bryan also, and this is a problem I have when now that I talk to you, is that you've got this conspiracy podcast and you're a voice of reason and logic, and you and Tripoli go back and forth.
Well, now hold on. Yes, I debunk.
Yes,
I try to debunk conspiracies with Sam. But whenever you're talking to conspiracy theorists, I've had. Gosh, this is on Rockfin, by the way, if you're looking for it. There's a free feed where we have archived episodes, and just if you want to listen to insanity, I have like some of the more famous conspiracy theorists on. And if you ask them some of the more detailed questions, they tend to kind of throw their hands up and go, "I'm just asking questions, bro."
That's their default.
But wait a minute. You're talking about how the Vatican and Buckingham Palace runs everything. I don't think so. Yeah.
But I'm just thinking it out loud, bro. I'm thinking out loud.
Then what's the one, you've heard a ton of them. Is there one that you're like, no way, I don't believe into it, but you've now swung the other way?
The only one I think that I sort of, obviously we all agree that the earth is flat. We know we've been lied to about the earth being round, so we know that. But the JFK conspiracy, if you listen to Oliver Stone kind of talk about it, and there's JFK Revisited, which is this multi-series, thing on Showtime, he makes an interesting point. I don't know. You can kind of believe back then when the stakes were very high when it came to sort of the Soviet bloc and Cold War, and maybe there was, I don't know though. I still, and the idea that Lee Harvey Oswald was actually a CIA asset, and denied everything. There's a lot of stuff there, I suppose, but maybe you can do that with almost anything. So
probably because the JFK thing has always been interesting to me because I think it's human nature to think that one man can't alter the course of history by himself. So we as a society won't accept that it was just one guy.
Yes, and that's a good example because when you get to the path of least resistance, if you were to say it was just one fanatic, or if you were to just the least sexy idea sometimes is like one deranged dude, gross incompetence,
Yes.
The CIA made a huge blunder. Those are not fun, man. You can't do a movie where the spy master, it was like, I forgot, whatever, or I didn't know they were like that, That's
right.
Not really a movie.
No, and I've always said that it preys on the fear that we could all have everything changed by a moron, and nobody wants to accept that. We want an extraordinary James Bond type operation to take out the most powerful man in the world, and when it turns out it's a dude in a T-shirt who didn't know what to do after he did it. I have a great movie idea, though, that a friend of mine and I are working on, and you should do this. Where a dude accidentally discovers that he can travel back in time once and he can stop some sort of event from happening. And he goes back and he's going to shoot Lee Harvey Oswald, but he misses and actually kills the president.
How about that?
And I like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Well,
and-
there are some things, like if you look at if you look at the sort of what the spark that started World War I.
Yeah.
It was when Ferdinand, the
Archduke.
Oh God! It was when Ferdinand and Sophie, the emperor of, or the prince of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, right?
Yeah.
When the Serbian, his name was Precep, Erdogan or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
He came out of a sandwich shop. They went to assassinate him. They missed. They threw a grenade. He was on his way to the hospital to go visit the people that had been wounded in this parade by these sort of terrorists, and they caught a couple of them. One guy jumped in the river and all that. But I guess the car that was driving them stalled in front of a sandwich shop, and as they were backing out, the guy who came out with a sandwich and saw him there and just was like, "Wait, that's the guy we were going to kill," and just ended up shooting both of them.
It was a full
and
abortion.
that's kind of like
complete accident.
Well,
Yeah,
they aborted
bailed.
mission. Well,
Yep.
you read about that and you realize they recognized that they were all about to get,
There's the
failed
car in the
miserably.
intersection.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
And the car
right
stopped.
there.
Yeah, it's an amazing transformation
crazy?
of what, and then the dominoes that fell after. This is why I like what you're doing in the conspiracy thing. And then this morning, a Chinese rocket, maybe, Brian, maybe something else, smashed into the moon. We don't know. The Chinese won't take credit for it. So it smashes into the moon, and then the authorities say the great phrase of, "We think this is the first time that we've smashed something into the moon accidentally."
Accidentally landed.
They're not
something
sure.
on the moon.
They don't even know. So then so now conspiracy
as you
theorists
get
have come back
older-
with a moon thing.
Yeah, as you get older, that's something that Stephen Jobs said. He goes, when I realized that everybody around me wasn't any smarter than I was, and when I realized that everybody who had built the things around me wasn't any smarter than I was, the world changed. Now, Stephen Jobs is a very smart guy, but at the end of the day, I've been around enough people who, were either successful in business and powerful, or some people that might have worked, in the CIA. We've all been around these people that have, I don't know. These top tier. Some of these guys were top tier soldiers. Or my one buddy is a deep state guy, and I've known him forever. And what's funny when you talk to them, and I even had family members who they're not. They'll laugh at you if you start talking about master plans. They're like, "Dude, do you know how bureaucratic, chaotic, and difficult it is to pull off anything, and how many people grossly miscalculate when you're dealing? Look at Iraq. I mean, look at Iraq. How'd that go?
Yeah,
for 22 years.
Well, you can't even get roads done. That's the thing. With the people that we blame to screw up everything, we think can get in cahoots all of a sudden and rig everything to precision, and our lives we're puppets.
And the other idea is that when you think that the most powerful people in the world get together in a sort of a secret room and plan things, well, here's a story. My buddy, who's made whatever you think is a lot of money, he's made more. He's a huge, banker and stuff. He and this other, I think it was a journalist or a woman or a venture capitalist, they were trying to get together 5 billionaires for this project. 5 billionaires, powerful people, because they had this idea. You know what the problem was? None of those guys would sit in the same room with each other, because one guy was dating the girl he dated, the other guy screwed him over. They were both trying to kill each other. It's like
elementary school again.
Exactly. It's the reason they're successful sometimes is because they can't stand their competition.
Yeah. They're singularly driven too. They're all they're all in it for themselves. They're not there to make other people money.
Yeah.
It's all in for them. Yeah, I love that stuff, and that's why this stupid podcast you're doing is driving me nuts. And I think it's something. So because I have my own theories about things. I think things happened, and then I think they started lying about them. Like I think the moonshot's real.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I don't think we went as many times as we said.
Right.
There was a lot of money
I
heading that
agree
way
with
to
that.
NASA.
Yeah, I think we faked a few of them, but not the first couple, because we were trying to break Russia.
Yeah.
We were trying to financially destroy the other superpower. And the more we went, the more it looked like, Jesus, they got this figured out, and we can't even get up there once. And the proof of that to me is that nobody's gone since. And we won't sell technology to other countries that want to go.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And how many
I like
dogs
that
and
idea.
monkeys are in space right now?
Well, they're just floating around smashing into the moon. Because India asked us, hey, we want to go to the moon. We want to send our space program. We're like, absolutely not. Why? Why not? We didn't discover anything. And so it's like, why not? Because we really don't have that much technology. We might have gotten lucky a couple times. We realized this is a bad idea. And so we just broke a nation.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I have my own thoughts.
But the other thing is that it's really hard to keep a secret in government. It's really hard. There are too many competing interests. I mean, Lyndon Johnson, will listen to those tapes. Listen to him begging different publications, news publications, not to print stories and to wait a couple of days because it's a top secret mission during Vietnam and Cambodia and stuff. I mean, he was furious. He said, I'm going to put a one-eyed farmer in as my Secretary of Defense. I'm going to put a one-eyed farmer. That's what he said, because I can't keep a secret, and nobody is on my team.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
And think about that, because those tapes you're talking about when LBJ was talking, what did the general public get out of that? That he's got a huge dick and he had specially made pants. Remember that
Hager
part?
stretch knits.
Remember when he had to have a pocket put in his pants because his dick
Have you ever heard that one, Brian?
massive?
No, I've not heard that one.
In those very same tapes, he calls a tailor to say,
the guy from Hager.
Yeah, from Hager, and he goes, I gotta have a pouch down there because a little too tight in the crotch last time.
You can let that out.
Yeah, if you can let that out. And he basically is saying, my dick's too big for the pants you provide.
And I want one pair in every color.
It was insane, and that's what. And there's where you lose me.
Great.
Yeah, so you go back and listen to those tapes again, and that's what the general public walked away. Do you know what LBJ's dick is massive? Did you hear what he was saying? The guy couldn't arrange
He's
a
just
war.
wrecking Ladybird on the rig.
Oh, well, Ladybird was a lesbian. We all know that.
All that matters. All that matters.
And I heard you earlier in this conversation. I got a piece. And we're going to war with the commies.
Right.
But by the way, dick.
Love your trousers.
But the funny thing is as you were talking, I heard a conspiracy while you were talking because you said you have a friend who you said whatever you think a lot of money is, he has more. And then you said banker. All I heard was Jews. They're in control of the money.
By the way, that's all I find myself defending. I'm always like, at the end of the day, it always comes back around to the Zion.
Yes, that's it.
This is just. I mean, are you going to start goose stepping? And by the way, Sam Tripoli, who's a great guy, and I promise you, not an anti-Semite. I swear to God, he's the nicest human being on the planet, and wishes everyone everywhere all the best, which is why I love him so much.
Yeah.
But a lot of these conspiracy theories, if you really get into it, it's like the globalists. Jews.
And that's when you know. Yeah. And it is always like you can hear it in their brain trying to boil up so they can bring it up. They throw out the whole conspiracy started with Jews. Like it just has to fall out of them like a foghorn.
Money, man.
Yeah, it's the Bilderberg group gets involved.
But I always try to. That's why I think they're dangerous. That's why conspiracy theories, because I try to always bring that up. I'm always like, a lot of them are young. And they don't have the benefit of the history, and they're not even they don't see that a lot of times. They're just trying to get to the truth. I was like, listen, a lot of this stuff is the protocols of Zion, and all this stuff has its roots in old school Nazi propaganda, man.
Yep. All of it comes back. And even before that, just religious pressure to hate the Jews has been permeated through history all the time. So yeah, that's when you boil it down, that's the truth. And why do we want to know the truth so bad? Are we better off not knowing all this stuff? Like, you don't want to know I always think of that when they say, like, oh, your grandpa's in heaven watching down on you. I'm like, that's the scariest thing in the world, to think that something can see me, because a good majority of the time I got my thumb in my ass and I'm tugging it on the couch. I don't need grandpa to see everything.
Well, Yeah. By the way, I mean, that's the thing about a magic trick. Yeah, I don't know if you want to know what goes on behind the scenes because the magic trick's no longer a magic trick. You know? Like a little mystery, man. A little mystery.
Have you guys?
That's why I always wear baggy clothes, John.
Yeah.
You know, because you know what I mean. I'm not gonna. But then when it's showtime,
LBJ.
You know what I mean?
LBJ's crying.
I go. Yep. I go. Uh-oh. Say hi to LBJ. That's what I do. That's what I call him.
Let me take him out of my pants pouch because I have him sewn in.
You call it a pouch, John. Yeah, you call it a pouch. I call it a holster.
Now you leave the room and take what I put in your mouth and go give the toilet life.
Oops.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry about that. I know you said not to, but oops. You should go give the toilet
this little thing looks like he's got lungs. He's breathing.
I know you're asking yourself, where's the gills on this?
It constricts.
Piece? How does it breathe in there? But it does. And it sucks your life force from you. Yeah. How did that happen? Did you guys tap into the? I'm going to circle back. I don't know how that happened. Did you guys talk about the Epstein thing? Because that's really where I don't think we want to know what's real. Is the Jeffrey Epstein story.
Oh well, that's even Rogan, who's pretty sensitive about these things. Rogan was like, Brian, don't go there. I'm telling you right now, the cameras didn't work. So I don't know. Then I've had people. I had a prison guard who said he killed himself. Nobody's watching. Nobody's watching those cameras. You know, so I don't know.
I look at that whole thing as just a sweater.
You mean the bigger case, John?
No, I'm talking about all of it.
Yeah, you don't want that information coming out of who's on the list, what happened.
Tugging that yarn wrecks a sweater that, again, it's like the Archduke Ferdinand. It's like the dominoes that fall if we do know the truth as a general public will cause a panic.
But let's take Epstein. I had a friend who had a meeting with Epstein. And he said, and he looked at his wife. He's telling me the story. He looked at his wife, and he said, "What did I say after I left the meeting?" And she said, "You said the man's a construct." I said, "What's that mean?" He said, "He was something about his questions and what he was asking me." And my friend's a mathematician and a scientist, and he said, they weren't his questions." They weren't his questions. And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I think he worked for an intelligence agency."
No kidding.
You know, all right. So was he trying to get powerful men on an island in compromising positions so they could take pictures? Maybe. If that's the case, though, has anything come out in the Ghislaine Maxwell case? I haven't heard anything, so I don't know.
But see, I think nothing's come out because it would be detrimental to society to say, okay, we have to protect some of the bad news. We used to be good at it, and now with the internet and everything else, it all leaks. But I think there's certain aspects.
That's interesting on the intelligence side too, because he completely was, more or less exonerated on that investigation. They're like, we put that file away.
Well, that leads me to believe that there is more.
That's why I think maybe. Yeah, maybe he worked with them. Like a lot of people think he worked with the Mossad, and the Mossad and the CIA had a reason to sort of like they were working together. So the whole file, I don't know.
Man. Hey, Brian.
I don't know.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Who's the Mossad?
Yeah.
Guys,
I'm getting a bad connection.
Because I know who they are. And you keep going back to it, man.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Here we go, Jews. I'm a lighthouse for Judaism.
But then after you say Jews, you have to go, but I treat everybody like an individual, bro.
I don't judge.
I love everyone.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Bryan Callen is here. He's next week. We're going to miss you, which stinks, but Bryan Callen's going to be here at Stand Up Live next weekend. And we're going to get you tickets to that. What else is going on in your world? What are you doing? Are you busy? Are you not in this new Batman thing? Are you doing because you were in the Joker, and I don't know if any of the same people are involved.
No, I will not be in the new Batman thing. I am. What am I doing? I'm basically I'm touring a lot. I'm going to shoot my next special.
Beautiful.
Pretty soon here. Still doing Fighter and the Kid. That's going strong.
Yes.
And I don't know, raising my children. I'm raising my children. I'm raising my baby.
How's it going?
You know how life is long. We'll see what happens. Life is long.
They got a lot. Up to now, if it all came down to a grade, what are you as a father? Where are we at?
Yeah.
B?
As a father, I mean, listen. As long as they don't get my stuff, you know what I mean? John, you know what I mean,
I
Brady?
get it.
I got my tools. Don't get in my stuff. Don't mess with my, I don't know. I do the best I can. It's one continuous mistake. Here's the thing. I'm not, look, my kids, I hold them to a realistic standard. I'm not one of those guys who's like, my child's a genius.
Right.
My son collects rocks. Okay, I went on a hike with him, and he was like, "I found a rock," and I was like, "Well, that's not an accomplishment. Now let's go."
Let's go.
And then we had to cut the hike short because he had 25 pounds of rocks in his pocket, and I was like, and he had that, and then he's looking at me like I never have to work again. He was like, "You're welcome," like they were worth something. Well, and I was like, they're all beige. What do you see that I don't see? Anyway,
sandstone.
He got bit in the face. He's been bitten in the face 3 times by very friendly dogs. Let's put that in, because he makes jerky movements and unpredictable high-pitched noises for no reason.
And you think one time he would learn.
In their face. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I got bit, and I'm like, I don't know why. I'm like, because you act wounded. And I'm not even a dog, and I want to bite you. So you deserved it. So, that's how I raise my children.
Well, you're doing
and my
great.
daughter is 13 years old. She thinks she's a wonderful gal. She thinks she takes anime very seriously.
Oh.
And I try to have something. You ever have something in common with a 13-year-old where I was like, she was like, Todoroki, do you know some people think Todoroki is related to Deku? And I was like, really? What idiots? I have no idea.
You go back to the rock collector.
And then, I had this impulse the other day with my daughter. I love her, but she's about to be 14, and she can barely stand me because she's 14 and she's a girl, and I have nothing in common with her, and I'm an embarrassment in general. And
right.
And the other day, she thinks she's smarter than I am because she's learning things in school that I forgot. That kind of
right.
13-year-old arrogance, where she looked at me and she goes, "You don't know the layers of the atmosphere." Just kind of walked away from me. And I've never had an impulse to. I had this impulse. I've never had an impulse to hit my children.
Right.
But I would, like with her, I swear to God, I'd like to push a pie in her face sometimes.
That's not abuse.
I know that's a weird thing to say.
It's comedy.
It's not abuse. I think that's legal. I think in the middle of a sentence, I could twist a pie right in their face and be like, "I hope you get diabetes," and walk away. That's what I'd like to do. I said it. I said it out loud.
The Soupy Sales Guide to Rearing a Child.
It's the Soupy Sales Guide to Rearing a Child.
I like that. Just pies
now,
in the
face.
face.
Now, let me ask Brady.
Yes.
Brady, are you going to take me to, because last time I know I made fun of it, but I had such a fun time. Are you going to take me to
the World Wildlife Zoo?
Oh, the zoo.
You want to go back? We can do it.
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask him about his
restaurant. I felt bad because I was making fun of it on my podcast, and Brady heard it, or I think the people heard it.
Someone said something to me.
So terrible.
Well, you shouldn't feel terrible. And by all means, Brian, don't go back to the boring zoo with Brady if it's just an appeasement.
No, they're on a time constraint.
No, they were bored.
Because Sugar Man O'Reilly.
I'm bored talking about it. Brian, look, let's go do something fun.
Shug was on a tight schedule.
Zoos are for people on Xanax and in like scooters and things like that. You're a grown man in the prime of your life. You don't need to go look at trapped animals.
I'm a grown man. If I can go there with a crossbow, though, and get my dinner.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, let's
I
hunt.
I want to spit a gazelle. We'll just, we'll eat some gazelle.
Run one down.
I find it hysterical because I think that Brady thought you guys had the time of your lives, and then like a listener sent the clip back and said, these guys were bored to tears about your trip to the zoo. And Brady's like, oh, really? Well, I gave him everything I had that day. And then
everything I had.
That's all I had. My whole heart and soul was in that.
When I got home, dropped for 48 straight hours. It was all I had. And then this comes back and haunts him. And now you're playing nice when you don't have to sing. Take me back to the.
I've got to
Titanic.
get another picture, Brian, because I've went through the one picture with my crossbow already that I have.
It's
had
ridiculous.
it up for years.
Just
wander around the desert and Brady will collect rocks, and you can have a good time with him.
We're going a live rattlesnake roundup.
It's ridiculous that you even suggested this.
Yes, but I hear they've spotted some jaguar as far north as Arizona. So
we have a few Jaguar.
Well, if there are some Jaguar, and so if we are out there, Brady, I want you to stay very close to me. Stay very close. I want you to loop one of your index finger through my belt loop and stay that close to me at all times. And walk where I walk. Walk where I walk. All right.
I'll do it.
One set of prints.
Yeah.
The Jaguar cannot track.
Yeah. God, ask me why. Ask me how a Jaguar knows not to attack me.
How is it possible that a Jaguar knows not to attack you?
It just knows, John. It just knows.
All right.
Bryan Callen is here next week.
Sometimes there's no conspiracy.
That's right. Sometimes just straight across. The Conspiracy podcast with Sam Tripoli. You got Fighter and the Kid. Brian's everywhere.
Conspiracy Social Club.
That's it.
On Rockfin.
Right. And it's awesome. And you guys are going great. So it's good to have you in a normal world again. And I want to see you next week. I'll probably come down and see you. But thanks for doing this.
I can't wait to. But you guys always have a front row seat at my spectacle. I look forward to seeing you boys.
Awesome. You're the man. Bryan Callen, thank you, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Love you, fellas. Bye-bye.
There you go. It's Bryan Callen, everybody. He's awesome. Just flat out great. That conspiracy thing, I could go on for days. If I ever had a podcast about conspiracies, it would last 6-7 hours at a time, and it would just be babble. I don't know how you get off the topic because it's never ending. Anyway, Bryan Callen's here next week if you guys want to go stand up live. In fact, Brett, let's do it again.
All right.
A couple more pairs of tickets if you guys want to go see him. 585-9800. We'll give you tickets to go see Bryan next week right here in our beautiful little town. We got the entertainment drill coming up in just a minute. It's 98.
Arizona's most powerful rock radio station.
It's out of control now.
98 KUPD.
You've been listening to Holmberg's Morning Sickness Podcast, brought to you by our friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Eric'sFamilyBBQ.com.